And client gap number three, your demand is not converting into clients. So I'm going to assume you've watched the last two videos. Your positioning is strong. Your content is clear and specific. It's building trust and desire and demand, but you're still not signing clients consistently. That means the next gap is in your pathway. And this is the piece that most people miss. Because a business, again, it does not work in isolated parts. Each step builds on the one before. So your positioning is what attracts the right buyer. Your content creates interest and demand, and the pathway is what turns that demand into clients. And so if your pathway is weak, people can be interested and still not buy. And that is when it feels like, people are watching you, they're engaging, you feel like they're interested, but things are still not moving. And that is where most coaches and consultants also get stuck because a business works like an ecosystem, which means that every day we want new people to be finding you. We want warm people to be nurtured, and we want the people who are ready to know exactly what to do next. And if you don't build that, you get stuck in this loop of like you post and then you wait, you're having some conversations, but it just feels a bit clunky. It feels very manual, and it feels like nothing is compounding and really working. So let's break this down into the three biggest leaks I see in the sales pathway. So mistake number one, your next step creates too much friction. This is one of the biggest ones. Your post ends with DM me or book a call, and people do nothing. And it's not because they're not interested, but it's often because the jump is too big. And so you're asking someone to go to from, oh, I like this content, I'm curious, to let's have a sales conversation. And now, yes, some people will DM you, some people will book a call, but you are leaving so many clients on the table because for most people, this is just too fast. It's like going from nice to meet you, let's get married. Most buyers are not ready for this. And the issue is they're not even going to say no. They're just going to disappear and you won't even know that they were interested. And this is where most sales die quietly. So instead of asking people to take this huge leap, even like a masterclasses are great, but again, it's a big time investment. So give them one simple next step where they can get instant value, something that is clear, that is low friction, and that builds trust quickly. Because the fastest way to nurture someone is for them to see your face, hear your voice, and for them to experience a shift in how they think about the problem that they have. Because people are interested in what you are selling, but you're making the next step too friction filled for them to take. Mistake number two is your lead magnet creates consumption, but not conversion. This is a really big one because a lead magnet is not there to give people more work. It is there to create a quick win or an aha, or it is not very useful. Because most lead magnets do one of two things. Number one, they create homework. It's a PDF, it's a workbook, it's a checklist. And what happens in the biopsychology here is they're like, oh, I'm going to come back and do this later. But then they never do. And so now their brain associates you with effort instead of with results. And the second thing that I see people do is they're creating what I call a nice magnet. So it's nice, but commercially it is not useful, right? It's a meditation, it's a tapping video. And they think, oh, this was nice. And then they move on. So there's no real shift. They might feel a little bit more relaxed afterwards, but they don't have a real shift. There's not real clarity. And there's no reason for them to take the next step with you. So the strongest lead magnets do something different. They're more treated like a conversion asset. They create a moment where your buyer is like, oh, like this is why I'm experiencing this. This is why this is happening. And this is why what I've tried previously perhaps hasn't worked. And that's why this is different. And this is a better route. This is what creates buyers, right? So, for example, for me, a lot of my buyers I know have invested heavily in content programs. And content, of course, is important. But they've invested in content programs, especially the viral ones. They've grown their audience, but they're still not getting clients because at the root of it, they are not positioned to sell. And they've set up their account, they've set up their following, they've set everything up for followers, sorry, not for buyers. And there is a huge difference. And so their content is good at growing attention and it's terrible at growing buyers. And so that insight creates immediate clarity for my ideal client because now they have a sense of like, oh, that's what I'm missing. That clarity is what creates movement. So your lead magnet should not feel like work, and it should not just feel like something that's nice and that the people move on from. It should create a real shift for someone. Because if your lead magnet doesn't create a shift, it will not create a sale. And mistake number three, your follow-up journey is breaking the pathway. So let's say you have an easy next step. You have a really great lead magnet. Okay, so they watch the training, they opt in, but then what? Because for most people, the answer is not very much. They send emails, but they're not very strategic. They don't really lead the buyer anywhere. And you assume that the buyer is going to remember you. They'll come back if they're interested. No, they will not. That's not how buyers work. Some are ready now. Some will consume your conversion magnet, your lead magnet, and come straight into your offer. And some need more trust, more exposure. They need more evidence. And that is absolutely fine. The problem is that there is no follow-up. There's no nurture sequence. There's no invitation. There's no bridge for them. And so your lead magnet becomes a dead end instead of it becoming a pathway. All you need to install is a very simple nurture rhythm, a way to stay in the conversation. Because someone might not buy today, but they might be ready in a week or 3 months or a year if you stay visible to them. So, if you want demand to turn into clients, your ecosystem, your entire ecosystem needs strong positioning so that your right buyer self selects. It needs content that is created specifically for demand so that they are nurtured before they come into your DMs. You want to have one clear next step so they don't just disappear. You want to have a core offer that your entire offer suite is built around so that the decision feels simple for your buyers. And then you want to have a system so you're consistently nurturing your ideal clients so that when they're ready to buy, you are the only person that they think of. That is the pathway. That is the ecosystem. And so, if you want me to show you the biggest leak in your business, book a 15-minute client gap diagnosis. You're going to send me your profile and your offer details, and I'm going to show you your single biggest gap, what this impact is having on your business, and the first thing I would do to fix it. And you can book that below.